Burlesque feather fan dancing. But what is the history of it? Let's have a history lesson, kids. Since the beginning of time, humans have been finding themselves in situations that are rather hot. And how else are they going to cool themselves down if not by generating some air? Thus, the fan. Ooh. Fans haven't always been opening and closing. Of course, you could fan yourself with anything, an IKEA placemat, anything you like. The idea of the folding fan, one that opens and shuts, is this, used within Asian culture and across Asian culture for thousands of years. And in fact, beyond just Asian culture, archaeologists have found evidence of fans in statues, in artwork, in all kinds of things across the entire globe. They came up in Greece, they came up in Assyria, they came up in Egypt, they came up all across Asia, dating way, way back when. So, how on earth did we go from it being really damn hot and I need this thing that can compact down to cool myself down, to dancing with them like Sally Rand at Chicago World Fair, doing a little bit of tease, reveal and hide and conceal? How did this happen? Well, in the 1600s, flamenco dance was an art form that was already well established in Spain, and it was at this time that fans began to be incorporated into this dance. This is something that we saw happening in Spain and in that particular type of dance, but also in China, in Japan, in Vietnam. All of these countries were developing their own cultural form of fan dance. So we've got folkloric fan dancing that comes in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's about social connection and dancing with each other. Sometimes fans are used as sort of military senses in the same way that we would see Western cultures like move around guns. We've seen fan dancing done as a kind of spiritual practice. We can see it in martial arts and all kinds of different facets. And that's one of the things that's really great about the idea of fan dancing, is knowing that it's not one culture that has ownership of it. It really has kind of existed in so many different places, and each different individual place has evolved their own sense of how they go about using the fan, which is really great. It's really exciting, and it leaves a lot up to interpretation, because I feel like fan dancing has evolved like the way that English has evolved. In every single area, there's a different take on it. There are so many different romantic languages, and none of them are wrong, just like how there are so many different kind of fan dances, and it's really up to you how you choose to continue to take this art form and make it your own. In the 1600s, fans were being used across the globe in flamenco dance, in Asian folkloric dance, in traditional dance, and it was in the 1600s that a fan made its way from Asia to Europe. So in the 1600s, folding fans came from Asia to Europe. And it was the first time that Europeans were seeing these ornate staves, this exotic thing from another far off land. And it became quite the status symbol. Only the richest of the rich could possibly afford to have such an exotic item. Throughout the 1700s and the 1800s, it became a real signifier of status. You would see them in the courts. It was like the modern day designer bag. It was your way of showing your place in the world. You could use your fans for everything. You wanted to show someone that you're interested, you could do a little flutter of your eyelashes behind your fan. If you're not interested, you could just cold. So fans started off as a status symbol for socialites who have proven that they're connected to the rest of the world with their delicate staves and their fancy ornate nature. And of course, as is everything, when something starts off being a socialite high wanted item, it slowly becomes more and more accessible, replicates get made, and it drizzles its way down until absolutely everybody is holding on to this same designer bag. It's in the 1900s that we see what we are used to seeing within the burlesque world with fans, and that is feather fan dancing. This became really big in 1930s. This is when Sally Rand performed with feather fans at the Chicago World Fair. And she would dance nude behind the feathers and use the fans to reveal and hide parts of her body. Using these fan veils, which is the fan with the long tail of silk on the end, is actually quite modern in the realm of fan dancing. We have only really seen this kind of silk extension happening kind of in the 80s and 90s, so it's a fairly new thing. We often see it these days kind of with belly dance and with burlesque, and it's often used as a bit of a fusion prop. We'll see belly dancers who are kind of fusing elements of flamenco or tribal will use these kind of props, and we also get to see it in all kinds of acts in the wonderful world of burlesque. With feather fan dancing, this really was a style of dance, and the path for this was really led by the incredible Sally Rand in the 1930s. So Sally performed at Chicago World Fair, and most notably, I think it was 1934, was a year where she actually saved the World Fair because she brought in so much income. It was the cost of people coming to see her fan dancing that actually kept the fair alive that year. And so, you know, she's quite an innovator. Fans have been around for a long time. They're in all kinds of cultures, but this idea of using huge feather fans and this idea of hide and reveal, this sort of peekaboo action and framing with the fans, was something that really was innovated by Sally Rand. So we must thank her for this. Of course, from there, we continue to see fans, both feather fans and all kinds of fans, being used in all kinds of new and amazing ways, which is what we love, which is what should happen in dance. It should always be changing and evolving and growing, and everyone bringing their own fresh take on it. So historically, in classic fan dancing, the fans were really just sort of something to cover and reveal yourself. The idea is that you're teasing and peekabooing your body through the fans. But now we see people using fans in other ways. They're using them kind of to flourish and to do tricks. So these sorts of tricks are much more about doing a manipulation with the prop as opposed to framing or revealing or hiding with the prop. And it's just a new and different way to use it, and it's really exciting to see, and we'll continue to see how it continues to grow in the future.